Friends, first of all, I would like to thank Center for Dalit Studies, Indian Institute of Dalit Studies, Center for Dalit Rights, National Alliance for Social Justice and Dalit Coalitions, People's Campaign for Socio-Economic Equity, Dalit Bahujan Front, National Movement for Land, Labor and Justice, Dalit Human Rights Defenders Networks, National Council of Women Leaders, and all those friends and all those organizations which have been responsible for organizing this event. And Arun sir has told me earlier that several distinguished scholars have spoken on different issues concerning social justice and constitutions, and now a series has been launched, and I have been given this opportunity to join and to speak about my PhD topic, my research topic. So I am grateful to all of you. Once again, Arun sir, thank you very much for organizing this event. Friends, let me first tell you about myself. My name is Abhay Kumar, and I have done my PhD at Center for Historical Studies. My PhD session in JNU was from 2013 to 2018. You know it very well that around 2014, a regime change has happened, a new party has come to power. I used to read Urdu newspapers and also Hindi and English newspapers. So I realized that after 2014, the issues about Muslim personal laws, the issue about triple talaq, the issue about halala, the issue about Muslims communities being, let's say, living in something in dark, they are being burdened on the society, they are anti-constitutionalist. That kind of reports, that kind of statements, that kinds of image were being constructed in the newspaper. So I became very interested that what is this Muslim Personal Law Board, and what is this news about triple talaq, teen talaq, and why this story is being propagated that Muslims are anti-women, Muslims are against constitution, Muslims are not modern, Muslims are not secular, Muslims are not progressive, while the majority community are very progressive, very secular, very pro-women. That kind of image was being constructed. So I decided that I should work on Muslim Personal Law Board. Friends, my center for Historical Studies in JNU is known for more research on socio-economic and historical topics. And when I went to the department with this topic, earlier my teachers, my supervisor, my department asked that why this Muslim Personal Law Board is so important. Do you think that this topic is good enough for your PhD? So I tried to convince, and then as you have seen, or as you have mentioned in the posters of this program, that I have that my PhD topic also included 3 terms: modern state, secular laws and minorities. So if you look at the term modern state, secular laws and minority, then these 3 key terms bring us to our constitutions. Our constitution is also talking about secularism and minority rights. It is also talking about giving cultural rights to minorities, and Indian constitution is one of the biggest champions of social justice and equality. Constitution has clearly said that there cannot be any discrimination based on caste, class, gender, religion. So I found that my topic is not is very much close to what is happening and what is unfolding in Indian constitution, in Indian politics, and so I started doing my research. So friends, I will come back to this point, these constitutions. Let me first tell you that what is personal law, what is the definition of personal law. Friends, in our conversation, when we say personal, so usually it gives the connotation that personal refers to individual, means that in political science it is called individual rights. But in the case of personal laws, the personal does not refer to individual rights, but it refers to community rights. So the personal laws, Muslim personal law means that a set of laws which are governing Muslims community. Similarly, Hindu personal laws are set of laws which are governing Hindus. Similarly, Christian personal laws are set of laws which are governing Christians community. So here personal, when I also started doing the research, I also thought that personal is very confusing term. Personal is personal refers to individual. No, it is not referring to individual, but personal, here you can say the personal is referring to individual community. So we have Hindu personal laws, we have Muslim personal laws, we have Christian personal laws, we have Parsi personal laws. Another important thing we have to keep in mind, that media creates an image that only Muslim personal laws are there. So only Muslim personal laws are there, or Muslims are given favorable place in Indian constitution and Indian polity. Hindus do not have personal laws. I think this is wrong. Religious communities, various religious community in India, they have got their own personal laws. Names may differ, but they all have got personal laws. So now you would ask that what are these personal laws? The personal laws refers to 3 and 4 areas: marriage, divorce, succession, charity, etc. So you will say that personal laws, you can say in modern India, personal, you can say that personal laws refers to only those aspects which are related to marriage, succession, divorce, endowment. So you could say that suppose if I am a Hindu or if I am a Muslim, if I marry, then all those matters related to marriage will be governed by, let's say, Muslim personal laws or by the Hindu personal law. Similarly, if my marriage has not been successful and if I have come to arrived at a situation where divorce is going to happen, then divorce will take place as per Hindu personal laws or Muslim personal laws or Christian personal laws. Similarly, if there is dispute about property, that how the property should be divided among the families, then Hindus will be governed as per Hindu personal law, Muslims will be governed as per their Muslim personal law, Christians will be governed by Christian personal laws. Then there is also another aspect, charity and endowment. So you have heard this news that the government has amended the Waqf Act, and now the Muslims community look at amendment of the Waqf Act as something which is going against the interest of the community. So the Waqf Act, the Waqf, which is called endowment, charity, these are also governed by Muslim personal laws or by the Hindu personal laws or by the Christian personal laws. So one thing we have to keep in mind, that personal laws are not only given to Muslims community. This is myth. I think this is the myth which is being propagated by the right-wing media, and the image is created that Muslims are given privileged positions, and this privileged position is given by the secularist party who are who are running after the votes of the Muslims community. So they are given a special preference. Now you would ask me that why only 4 or 5 areas are being governed, and what about the rest of the matter? So I have said the personal laws are those laws which are related to marriage, succession, divorce, endowment, charities, and they govern community specific, and all the matters, rest of the matters will be governed by secular laws. So what is this secular laws? Here secular does not mean communal and secular. You can say here secular law, you can also interpret secular laws like uniform laws. For example, if Abhay Kumar appears for any examination, then, or if Abhay Kumar wants to take admissions at any university and college, and if let's say Zainul Abidin wants to take admissions at any university and college, if let's say Michael wants to take admissions at any college and university, then all these three people belonging to different communities, they will be governed by the uniform laws. So the same educational qualifications will be required for everybody. Everybody has to pass the same test. So similarly, in economic sphere, in educational spheres, in taxations, in crimes, in all other aspects, what is happening, that all the communities they are governed by the same set of law, and those set of laws are uniform, and that is why we call it in another term, term in political science, secular laws. These are secular laws. So one thing we have to keep in mind, that 95% of our personal life, whether I am a Hindu, whether I am a Muslim, whether I am Sikh, whether I am Christians, whether I am Parsis, whether I am a believer, whether I am not a believer, I am being governed by uniform laws. Only in the matter which is related to marriage, divorce, succession, charity, endowment, these are the areas where I am governed by my community's laws, my personal laws. So we have to historically keep in mind one very important fact, that before the onset of modernity, before the establishment of the modern state, and what was the case in India, that the religious communities were governed by their own personal laws. For example, in Mughal period, Hindus were governed by their own personal laws, Hindu laws. Muslims were governed by their Muslim laws. Christians were governed by their own Christian laws. But what has happened, that after the coming of the Britishers and after the establishment of the modern state, what has happened, that the modern state has realized that the modern polity, the modern economy cannot run if the religious communities are if the people are governed through their religious laws. So the Britishers had tough time to secularize the law, to impose uniform laws, and that were also protested by the religious community, but they were able to implement secular laws, uniform laws for everybody in 95% of our daily life, in 95% our public life. It is only in the 5%, and this 5% is my own calculation. Nowhere it is written that 5%. I am just saying 5% so that you will be able to understand. The 5% of the area is only left out. And why it is left out? Because Britishers believed that religion is very sensitive matter. So it is better not to touch those aspects. The religious matters should not be too much touched, otherwise people will rise in rebellion and they will not be able to maintain law and order. If you look at Baba Saheb Ambedkar and Dalit and Bahujan movements, you will find that Baba Saheb Ambedkar and Dalit and Bahujan icons, the freedom fighters, the social justice leader, the radicals, they had some appreciation for the British rule, for attacking Brahmanism, for bringing in rule of the law, for bringing in modern education, for talking about enlightenment. But Ambedkar ji and other Phule, they are also critical of British Empire in the areas where Britishers are hesitant to bring in radical reforms. And Ambedkar ji has also criticized British rule, because Ambedkar is saying that the Britishers and their institutions are being monopolized by the upper caste people. So while the claim of the British Empire is social justice and equality, but in actual politics what is happening, that the dominant caste and dominant classes, they have got majority of the seats, and those who are downtrodden, they are not given justice and true representation. And Ambedkar ji, a radical, is also critical of British Empire, that it is not bringing in reforms as the subaltern classes wanted or desired. But the British government has their own calculations in their mind. They believed that in the matter like marriage, succession or family laws, those areas should not be touched. Those areas should be governed by the faith of the people, the customary laws, so that they would be able to rule this country peacefully, and they will be able to maintain law and order. Now, there is a big criticism that is personal law sacrosanct? Should personal laws not be reformed? Should not personal law be done away with? Should we not go for uniform civil code? And Baba Saheb Bhimrao Ambedkar has been quoted by the right-wing people that Ambedkar ji wanted uniform civil code to be imposed. He was against Muslim personal laws. So Dalits should support uniform civil code, and Dalits should oppose Muslim personal laws. So that kind of propaganda is being spread by right-wing groups. So since most of our friends who have joined this webinar, they belong to Baba Saheb Ambedkar's ideology. So let me also spend 1 or 2 minutes here, and we have to keep in mind that what Ambedkar ji has said, and how to maintain balance between minority rights, cultural rights, and then equality, so that we should not get trapped in the right-wing agenda. Friends, first of all, we have to keep in mind that that personal laws, whether Muslim personal laws or Hindu personal laws or Christian personal laws, they are not divine. They are not immune from any reforms. They are not outside, beyond Indian constitution, as the community and religious leader would like to propagate. For example, the Muslim community leaders would say that Muslim personal laws are sacrosanct, they are divine words, so there cannot be any change in it. Similarly, when Baba Saheb Bhimrao Ambedkar wanted to reform Hindu Code Bill, at that time Hindu conservative forces, they also argued that Manu Dharma or Hindu religious laws, they are sacrosanct, they are divine, and they should not be touched. Parliament has no power, constitution has no business to touch, let's say, personal laws. So that kind of argument is being given. If Baba Saheb Ambedkar were here, he would have said very clearly that is not acceptable. Baba Saheb would have said very clearly that nothing is outside constitution. Nothing is immune from democratic, from feminist, from egalitarian scrutiny. So it is the vested interest of the community leaders, the religious leader cutting across religious communities, that they propagate that you cannot touch these areas. For example, when untouchability was being abolished, it was also the argument which was given. Oh, you cannot touch untouchability because it has gone divine sanction. But Baba Sahib Ambedkar would say very clearly that social ills, inequality cannot be defended in the name of religion. Baba Sahib Ambedkar accepted Buddhism not because Baba Sahib Ambedkar wanted to find a god or Baba Sahib Ambedkar was interested in rituals. Baba Sahib Ambedkar chose Buddhism because Baba Sahib Ambedkar found Buddhism to be a religion which is based on community solidarity. Buddhism is a religion which is based on knowledge. The term is pragya. Buddhism is a religion which promotes rationality. Buddhism is a religion which brings people together. It promotes fraternity. Baba Sahib Ambedkar is not interested in rituals. Baba Sahib Ambedkar is not interested in establishing a priestly class. Baba Sahib Ambedkar is for a religion which is going to provide peace, rationality, fraternity to individual, to community. So similarly, Baba Sahib Ambedkar would be against the view that personal laws is immune from any intervention. Personal laws is beyond constitution. Personal laws is beyond the scrutiny of let's say parliament. Ambedkar would deny it, and that is why Baba Sahib Ambedkar supported uniform civil code. So if I say that Baba Sahib Ambedkar supported uniform civil code, then does it mean that Baba Sahib Ambedkar has no respect for cultural rights of minority? Baba Sahib Ambedkar has no respect for the rights of minority group? No. Baba Sahib Ambedkar was an ambassador of equality. Baba Sahib Ambedkar at the same time was the biggest defender of minority rights. And if you read Baba Sahib Ambedkar's writings, he has always said that democracy cannot be successful if minorities are not given protection. And here the term minorities is broadly defined. Minorities are those who are religious minorities. Minorities are those who are socially discriminated. Minorities are those who are historically discriminated. Minorities are those who were discriminated by the ill practices of untouchability. So Baba Sahib Ambedkar has said that democracy is not like a rock. It's not like a natural phenomena that once you have established it, it will be there. If there is a mountain, if you come to mountain after 100 years, the mountain will be there, solid. But democracy is not like that. Democracy has to be defended. Democracy has to be protected. Democracy has to be fought. It is not given. It is not there because the reactionary forces are trying to weaken democracy, and democracy can only be strengthened when the weaker sections are given effective representation, the marginalized communities are given true representation, effective representation, when welfare of the people is ensured, and when minorities are protected. So Baba Sahib Ambedkar believed that uniform civil code should be brought in, but his idea of uniform civil code was not the idea of the Hindu right, which is desperate to impose a particular set of religious laws on everybody. Baba Sahib Ambedkar's idea of uniform civil code was that a laws which should be based on equality, fraternity, liberty, and that should be given to everybody. Baba Sahib Ambedkar was a feminist who is not willing to accept that family is sacrosanct. Communities' laws are sacrosanct. Baba Sahib Ambedkar believed that communities, caste, villages, families, these are also the places where inequalities are there. Those inequalities should be removed, and that is why Baba Sahib Ambedkar was the biggest champion of Hindu Code Bill. He wanted to reform Hindu Code Bill because he realized that Hindu women are given bad treatment. Baba Sahib Ambedkar's writing, if you read Rise and Fall of the Hindu Women, he is basically saying that after the coming of Manu codes, women's positions fell and they were treated like the Shudras. So the women were seen as part of Shudra. If you read Brahmanical literature, you will find that the literature of the Brahmanism is not against Dalits only. It is not against Adivasi, but it is also against women. That is why the social justice thinker, Periyar, Ambedkar, Lohia, they always talked about the rights of the women. So I asked during an interview with eminent scholar Flavia Agnes, who has also worked on personal laws, I asked, Madam, we are great champion of the minority rights, and minority rights are being attacked by the right-wing forces. At the same time, the women from the minorities communities, they are also struggling for their own rights, and they are fighting with the patriarch of their own community, and the patriarch always defend themselves in the name of minority rights. So in that conditions, what should be our position? Flavia Agnes has no doubt, and she has said without spending even a second that we have to protect minority rights when minority is being attacked by the majoritarian forces. But at the same time, when the women of the minority groups, when they are fighting for their own rights against their own patriarch, against their own feudal forces, then we have to stand with the Muslim women, we have to stand with the Hindus women, we have to stand with Christians women, because gender questions is very important. I think Baba Sahib Ambedkar was also speaking and doing his politics in the same spirit. So one thing we have to keep in mind, that Baba Sahib Ambedkar, this is my understanding, was for Uniform Civil Code. But his Uniform Civil Code was not like the way the Hindutva forces are talking about Uniform Civil Code, where they want to bring in, let's say, Brahmanical rule or laws, and they want to impose on everybody. Baba Sahib Ambedkar believed that uniform laws should be there for the citizen, but that uniform laws should be based on the values of equality, liberty and fraternity. But we have to also keep in mind that Ambedkar's thought is incomplete without minority rights. Ambedkar was the biggest defender of minority rights, and Ambedkar ji has said very clearly, no leader has said so passionately and so clearly, that when the upper caste people, when they organize and when they try to serve their own interest, they call it nationalism. But when minorities, they fight for their legitimate rights, it is dismissed as communalism. So nobody would be more concerned about the minority questions than Baba Sahib Ambedkar. Ambedkar ji was for the protections of minority rights, and Ambedkar ji in Constituent Assembly, while he was supporting Uniform Civil Code, and his understanding of Uniform Civil Code was very different from what Hindutva forces are talking about. When in the name of Uniform Civil Code, what they are trying to do, they are attacking the liberty of minorities group, they are trying to control the sexuality of the women, and they are trying to stop two young couples, two mature people from marrying each other. So basically the idea of Uniform Civil Code as it is being brought in or being talked about by the Hindutva forces, they are against the values of equality, liberty and fraternity. So Ambedkar ji was not supporter of that kind of uniform civil code. Ambedkar ji was supporter of uniform civil code where the laws are based on equality, fraternity, where the laws are favoring women rights. And when the Hindu right forces were talking about uniform civil code and the minority groups were not willing to accept uniform civil code at that time, Baba Sahib Ambedkar has said very clearly, and that is very important point. Baba Sahib Ambedkar has said that a state should not bring in any laws that people are not able to accept, because if that laws is imposed on the people, then people will rise in rebellion. So Baba Sahib Ambedkar, while supporting his own understanding on uniform civil code, he also said that since Muslims community, since people are not willing to accept, then wait. So Ambedkar ji's message was that you cannot impose any reforms on any community from the top. The reforms must emerge from inside, within the community. We have to go and win the confidence of the people before bringing any reforms. So the point is very clear that first of all we have to keep in mind that personal laws are with all the communities. The second point is that personal laws should be defended because our constitution has given cultural rights, our constitution has given religious freedom to everybody including minority. So we cannot do away with the minority rights. We cannot do away with the personal laws. That is not possible because our constitution is for the protections of minority and their practices. At the same time, our constitution is also the biggest champion of equality. So in the name of community, in the name of religious laws, you cannot keep laws that are discriminatory towards vulnerable section. So in the where equality is violated, then the personal laws can be amended. Friends, I think we can take up many more issues during our discussion, but one thing I would like to say here and then I would like to stop. You keep hearing that government keeps setting up law commission to find out the desirability of uniform civil code. I think 17th law commission were constituted 4 or 5 years back, and that I think that 17th law commissions, if my memory is correct, gave its report in 2017 or 18, and the question was given by the government to find out the desirability of the uniform civil code. So the law commission in its report, it is there on the internet. If you want, I can give you, I have the PDF copy. The law commission has very clearly said that it is not desirable to bring in uniform civil code given the diversity of this country. The more practical approach is that wherever there is a problem, we should try to address that problem in that religious community. And one thing we have to always keep in mind that that women in Muslims communities are not alone to raise their voices against some anti-women practices. But women of the Hindu communities, women of the Christians community, they are also struggling for equality. The image is being given that only Muslim men are mistreating women. But the fact of the matter is that Hindu men are far ahead in mistreating their women. When caste system is in place, when Manu's code is there in your mind, It is not possible to give justice to women when dowry is there, when honor killing is there, when a Dalits and a Brahmins, when they marry, when the society is going to kill those couples, that means that equality is not there. So, in the Law Commission report, the Law Commission has pointed out the areas where reform should be done, not only in Muslim personal laws but also in Hindu personal laws, in Christian personal laws. So my argument is that we must stand with the rights of the women. We must try to reform those practices which are not desirable in modern and progressive life. They should be changed, they should be reformed. At the same time, we have to defend the minority rights, the minority culture, the minority representation. But we have to keep in mind that the question of gender should be fought on gender plank. Gender questions should not be hijacked by the communal forces. The impression by the media and the communal forces is being created that all the problems are there in the Muslim community and Hindu communities has no problem. There is no caste system, there is no dowry, there is no honor killing, there is no attack on Dalit women. Every day Dalit women is being attacked. So the point my research finding is, my research is telling me very clearly that women of the Hindu community, women of the Muslims community, women of the Christians community, they should come together to fight against patriarchy. This is not the fight against Muslims community, but it is a fight against casteism, it is fight against irrationality, it is a fight against unequal values. This is what I have to say. So my conclusion is, my request is, Ambedkar ji was for uniform civil code, but he was not like the uniform civil code of the Hindutva forces, he was for equality. Ambedkar ji was for modern values, Ambedkar ji was for equality, Ambedkar ji was also for the minority rights. So we have to defend minority rights. At the same time, the vulnerable sections within the minority community should also be supported. This is what I have to say. I think my book is to be published very soon. All those friends who have joined, I think we will stay in touch. And what I have done, everything cannot be discussed in one meeting. I thank Arun sir for giving me this opportunity to say a portion of what I think and what my research is. And I think we have to collectively work together, think together, and while we have to defend minority rights, we have to defend cultural rights, but we have to also keep in mind that culture cannot be a shield to keep discriminatory politics. Thank you very much, sir.